Well, good morning, everybody. Just a quick apology to get things started today. My in-depth report last night, I didn't realize my software had expired. The software license had expired on the stuff I used to make those recordings, and it didn't show up in my view, but it did show up on YouTube. Well, anyways, I corrected that, put a new version of that up there this morning, so I apologize. It said, demo or whatever on those slides. That was just an accident there. But we got more information this morning to kind of pick up on this winter storm. So you've been looking here at the latest all hazards weather map. We now see that winter storm warnings stretch from New Mexico clear into parts of Ohio, and winter storm watches are now being posted for parts of New England. There's a very large area to the south of this system that's going to experience very strong winds today. Both synoptic scale winds that are going to kind of go around this deeper low as it kind of moves over the Arklatex region and heads toward the Ohio River Valley, but also from severe thunderstorm winds that'll be farther to the south. So let's take a quick look at those winds, and I'm going to show you, here we go, this morning's NAM model run. So as we play this through the middle of this morning, getting into mid-afternoon and evening, we're kind of keeping a very close eye on how strongly these winds come into this low across parts of Louisiana and Mississippi. And the wind shear environment, that's a change of wind speed and or direction with height right here along the Gulf Coast, is going to be substantial today. We're going to get strong, what we call backing of the winds with height. So that means they come in at the surface out of this direction, and the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, they come out of the west. And that is a profile that's conducive to rotating thunderstorms or supercells. The most challenging aspect of this forecast in trying to figure out exactly when, where, and how substantial the severe weather threat is going to be how quickly the low levels of the atmosphere destabilize. We talked about this in last night's video, that the risk is the boundary layer, very closest here to the surface, is isothermal for maybe the first several hundred feet going up in the atmosphere. If you warm that significantly and we tap into this unstable air, the risk of severe storms really begins to increase, and I'll show you that in a second. But this low continues to pull right here over, again, the confluence of the Mississippi and Ohio River, and then quickly develops and takes off toward the eastern Great Lakes. And there's going to be a shot at some colder air that's going to come in immediately behind this, supporting more snow showers after the system rolls through. But I wanted to show you something interesting that'll happen as we get into Thursday. There will be winds coming off the Rocky Mountains out of Alberta and Saskatchewan and Montana that's going to provide a very brief warm-up in this area. But following this, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and beyond is some brutally cold air. So wild swings in temperature here are going to be felt. And this is going to have a major impact on spring calving in this area. Just something I'm keeping a close eye on. Okay, back to the severe weather threat. The Storm Prediction Center has a large area of enhanced risk that stretches from coastal Texas all the way to the western panhandle of Florida. You can see that it's very limited in the northward extent of these severe storms simply due to the cold, stable air that's on the northern side of this. As we get into tomorrow and the system wraps up into parts of New England where it would deliver heavy snow, Storm Prediction Center did increase the area over which there is a slight risk of storms from, again, north central Florida all the way up through coastal Carolinas here. So let's get in and look at it. Okay, this is this morning. We're going to start this off about 8 o'clock. So we've already watched early this morning the snow coming out of New Mexico, spreading into Texas and Oklahoma, and playing through the middle of today and then into this evening. There's the main front to the south that's going to initiate a lot of these storms. I'm concerned about storms out ahead of it having that the ability to take on kind of a supercellular nature. In other words, they're single rotating discrete cells, but very heavy snow on the back side of this system moving out of Texas and Oklahoma, southern Kansas, this kind of northwestern quadrant of Arkansas, getting into Missouri. There is some warm air out ahead of this, and this is going to limit the depth of the snow from this because there's going to be some rain that's going to fall first before we get the changeover. And so, for example, by tonight, St. Louis, starting off as rain and flipping over to snow, could be some ice in the mix there. And then we see that by the overnight hours, this spreads into, the Ohio Valley, back into the mid-Mississippi River Valley. And the likely heaviest snows will be just here as we convert over from the rain to the snow, right in through this corridor. We'll look at those snow maps in a second. So getting through Wednesday morning, playing through midday Wednesday, and then all the way here into Wednesday evening. We're going to watch this system pull into New England. Very heavy snow here. The storms kind of come to the south of this along the front through parts of Virginia, northern South Carolina, down to Georgia and Florida. And there'll be a lot of isolated snow showers on the back side of this low. But as I mentioned, you see this next system coming through here on Thursday. What's interesting about it is there's just a little bit of mild air in there, snow out ahead of it, but a little bit of mild air behind it, but that's all going to change over very quickly to much colder air coming through. So let's get an idea on total snowfall here from system number 1. So this is using the National Digital Forecast Database. I'm going to tend to trust the National Weather Service on these amounts. The models have flip-flopped quite a bit, but this is what you got. So take a quick look and pause it for your particular location. And what I want to do is show you the same map, but for New England. All right. Now, from here, let's just take a look at a couple of probabilistic maps. So the first thing you're staring at here, this is the chance of getting 4 inches of snow in the next 72 hours. But I want to step it up to 8 inches of snow. And so again, we're going to watch this heavy snow corridor in through here and then into New England. And here's the probability of a foot of snow. So just updating some of these maps from last night's analysis. Okay, from this point forward, the pattern is very conducive to split flow, systems that roll through like this, and a large subtropical ridge. And what that really indicates is that from eastern Texas through the Mid-South, through the Southeast Tennessee Valley, this is going to be an area that's going to be very wet compared to normal. And I want to show you how these systems are rolling through here on the European model. So here's system number 1. We've talked about that one. Pulls into New England. We then see the system coming through with more mild air on the back side. That's an interesting setup here. That pushes through the Red River Valley of the North and then dives into the eastern Great Lakes. Behind that is when the colder air starts to arrive. So this snow pushing up on the mountains of Montana is all on the nose of high pressure that's coming in out of Canada. And that's going to produce a system. Do you see how it's kind of sliding through there? It's kind of a clipper-like system that runs right in through this area and begins to emerge here where high pressure feeds this from the south, bringing in the warm, moist air, and much colder air is following it here this weekend. So we're going to have this setup where there's going to be a split. South of that line, better chances of rain. North of it, chances of snow, but it will likely convert over. We will see the risk on Saturday, Sunday, getting into Sunday night for some strong to severe storms to the south. See them down here. This is Sunday midday, getting into Sunday evening. And that system, again, rolls through parts of New England. But none of these systems, because of the subtropical ridge, are capable of getting all the way to the coast and then making that hard turn to give us a big nor'easter. We then see early next week there is a deeper trough over the west, and that's what's increasing the chances for more snow in the upper Colorado Basin, for example, and in the Sierra Nevada. And as that system emerges, again, the pattern stays very active. See this all the way out to day 10. So a lot of action happening down here with very wet weather. Just to give you an idea on total snowfall, there's system number 1. Here comes the clipper. System number 2. We see that overall there's a corridor opening up over the next 10 days. That today starts here, the next system rolls in like this, and that's overall just a result of that split flow in the jet stream. Here's the probability of getting at least 3 inches of snow over the next 10 days, just to kind of give us a more probabilistic view of this. But as we look out there into week 2, they're very interesting. We see the breakdown of the big split flow in the west, just a broad trough that's anchored over the Hudson Bay. But this means flow is quite flat. There's no high amplitude features, which means it's going to move very quickly west to east, aided by the momentum gained from this subtropical ridge. So the last holdout for the warm air is going to be the southeast. There's going to be a lot colder air coming in through here, but systems are going to move quickly across the country. But we see the greatest chances of being wetter than normal are now down here over the lower Mississippi River Valley to the mid-Atlantic. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the country is going to slow down. We're going to see quite a few systems rolling through at that time period. Now take a look at these temperatures. Here's today's highs, getting into tomorrow on Wednesday. As we go there from Thursday, remember that mild air I mentioned? Watch this get replaced here in the northern plains as we go from Thursday into Friday, and then into Saturday and Sunday. And now we can see that by Monday, the true extent of that Arctic air that's coming down, sending a lot of single digits or even below zero temperatures here. And again, like I said, very concerned about spring calving in this area and what these colder temperatures can do. When we look out there even farther, this would be day 5 through 10 from today's GFS model. I put the European in the report so you can see it. That's a lot of cold air coming in, but the southeast along these coasts remains kind of protected from it given the strength of that subtropical jet. So just remember, the cold air is here, the warm air is there. The contrast means that's the action area right in through there for the systems to roll through the country. This is how things look day 10 through 15, which fully gets us into that first full week of February. Still quite a bit of cold air anchored throughout a big section here of North America. All right, I did include in today's report the new weekly, so take a look at that. Again, this is just kind of rehashed from last night's in-depth report. We also talked again about how the models are becoming more aggressive on developing El Nino conditions well above the climatological average getting into late summer and fall next year, and how we're going now into INSO-neutral conditions for the remainder of winter. And finally, we do a discussion about South America's precip. Heaviest rains in the coming days are going to be mostly focused in the western and northern parts of Argentina. We are seeing drier conditions kind of reemerge here in southern Brazil, and some states here have really struggled with drought this year. But the central Brazilian rainfall is just very heavy, and it's near normal throughout much of the northern growing areas. We don't tend to grow quite a lot of crop right in this area. It's kind of bordering on the Amazon, so I'm really thinking about this region and through here. So, okay, hope you all have a good rest of your day. We'll talk again on Wednesday morning. Thanks.